Ever since the Quebec Act of 1774 giving the French people of Canada greater rights and autonomy, underlying tensions have continued to fester. And now, with the rising of the United States of America as a great power on the international stage, Upper Canada, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, the Hudson Bay Company, and the Columbia District are slowly beginning to merge, as the concept of a confederated Canada is gaining traction. However, we have no interest in any form of a confederation. The fears that the United States might march up north and take Canada is completely unfounded, and we have bigger fish to fry. As the other colonies continue to get closer and closer together, we will focus on our own matters, more specifically, the economy. Our fellow colonies are reliant on the British market for imports and exports. We must break these chains. We do not have all the resources necessary to support an independent economy. However, we will cross that bridge when we come to it. For now, we will begin drawing up plans for economic and infrastructure development, while also sending diplomats to the United States of America, our so-called enemy. Ever since the War of 1812, many in the nation are looking to seek revenge, so we will appeal to these senators and politicians to gain their favor in weakening the British Empire in Canada, and secure military and financial assistance to jumpstart the Lower Canada economy. At the tail end of 1836, the British and their imperialist ways have declared war on the Great Qing. This war does not concern us, as it is a British matter, not ours. And at home, the plans for our construction projects have been finalized, and so we will begin implementing them immediately, focusing on constructing farms, mines, and tobacco plantations. And in the United States, our diplomatic efforts have begun to bear fruit, as many congressmen have agreed to pass a bill sending military assistance and $3,000 per week to Lower Canada, which will be used to begin to fund construction sectors in Montreal, which will begin to accelerate our current economic goals. As we suspected, the fear-mongering of the other colonies was unfounded, as the United States of America can be turned into our greatest ally. By 1844, the situation at home has been positive and prosperous. In 1841, our deal with the United States of America came up for renewal, but we were able to convince them to sign a completely new treaty, increasing their payments from $3,000 to $6,000 a week. But we did something called fraud, as the original deal never was terminated, which means instead of paying us $6,000 a week, they are actually paying us $10,000, which has turned into a roaring economy. With this newfound money, we have been able to build more construction sectors across the colony, speeding up our transition from farms to factories. And on the side, we are now able to put more money into private companies to construct more tobacco plantations, which is a highly sought commodity within the British Empire. But in the background of all of this, we've begun to limit the public's ability to resist change. Though we are expanding the vote to encompass all white men, we have ended the right for people to associate and replaced it with censorship to correct many injustices to the government and assist the public in thinking the right ways. We have also banned women from owning property so they can focus on raising the next generations. Many protests that have been going on throughout the nation due to the recent People's Spring in Europe, a National Guard has been enacted loyal to the government. This has allowed us to move faster than any of the other colonies, which has allowed us to begin unifying with some, more specifically New Brunswick, which has expressed interest in uniting with us due to our cultural similarities. But that must come at a later date. For now, we need to ensure the Americans do not find out about our scheme and continue the transition from farms to factories. By 1849, the situation at home has remained stable. We have finished our main construction projects, which has allowed us to pour every single cent into tobacco plantations. And with the money that these plantations are making, it has allowed us to expand the logging industry, which is also becoming a roaring trade for the colony. As due to British expansionism, there is a high demand for lumber, which has generated overwhelming profit for the government, which has allowed us to convince New Brunswick to unite with us. We have no interest in uniting Canada, but due to our cultural similarities and the emerging idea of Greater Quebec, which is focused on uniting the majority Franco-Canadian colonies and territories, this is the first great step in realizing our goals. Next, we will begin negotiations with Nova Scotia to see if they are willing to unite with us. Despite them being majority Anglo-Canadian, we cannot tolerate this colony being independent due to its strategic location. Later in 1856, we were ready to unify with Nova Scotia, but then the Hudson Bay Company did it before us, which means that we now have a massive roadblock in the formation of Greater Quebec. We will immediately begin negotiations with the Hudson Bay Company to see if we can acquire Nova Scotia and potentially their Quebec territories. For now, though new construction projects have been proposed, we will not enact on them immediately, as the United States has suspended financial aid due to their current wars against France and Mexico. So, we'll have to sit back, rebalance our books, refill our gold and cash reserves, and continue to reap the rewards of our economic development. Four years later, in 1863, our most recent elections have concluded, resulting in the Radical Party winning. The first time in 30 years the Conservative Party has lost the election, which means we know they were rigged. And so the Conservative Party is not transitioning power to the Radicals, as we know which party truly won the election, and which party will take the steps needed for independence. On April 9th, 1865, we were able to achieve a glorious feat, which was to increase our autonomy, which has given us more economic and political freedom. While the Hudson Bay Company has refused any of our demands and has been squished under the boot of the British Empire, we are showing that we are correct when we say the United States of America is not the greatest threat, especially after they lost their most recent war with the Mexicans. But instead, the greatest threat is the British and their imperialist ways. By 1874, our time has come. After the United States successfully defeated Mexico in the Fourth Mexican-American War, the British Empire has declared war on the United States, as the Americans have begun encroaching on British interests in Mexico and Latin America. Because of that, our American allies made us an offer to switch sides for independence, which is something we did not have to deliberate. And thankfully for us, we have a third unexpected ally, the Socialist Republic of Leicestershire, which has declared independence from the United Kingdom and effectively has split the nation in two. So, we must take this opportunity to quickly march into Newfoundland and Nova Scotia before the British have the opportunity to move troops to Canada. many years later, in 1876, the war has been won. In the deal, we were able to secure the independence of Leicestershire and assist the Americans with their debt crisis, forcing the British to transfer £70,000 a week. But the most important thing is we gained our independence and we secured Newfoundland. However, the situation isn't all positive. Without the security of the British market, our economy has begun to stagnate and flounder, as prices have nearly tripled across the board. And now we have to consolidate our gains. But we have one card up our sleeve which will allow us to economically recover as quick as possible. Our tobacco plantations. During our times in the British Empire, we were doing a roaring trade in tobacco. And now that we have the complete independence of our markets, we can now begin selling to American and other European markets. It will take time to sign these deals, and even longer for the tobacco money to fill our coffers. But after we do, we will begin constructing railroads across the country and put money behind private companies to begin developing Newfoundland. But politically, something has happened. The Conservative Party for the last few years has been consolidating power around them. However, in the most recent elections, they lost again. And this time, they were unable to hold on to power, as the Radical Party managed to launch a coup shortly after the war, resulting in the Conservative Party being banned from running in any future elections. In 1883, news has arrived from the United States of America, or should I say, the United Syndicalists of America. After a successful revolution, the socialist elements of the United States have secured their position and sought the creation of a new nation. Immediately, we saw this new America as a threat and began closing our borders. But surprisingly, the Americans came to us looking to renew our current treaties that we had with the old government and pledge military assistance in continuing to form Greater Quebec. For now, we are incredibly wary, as this could be a ploy by the Americans, so we will focus on having a trading relationship while we figure out their true intentions. By 1884, our most recent snap elections have happened, resulting in the Liberal Party defeating the Radicals and securing an outright majority. Immediately, the Liberals have consolidated power and began pushing their agenda, which in the beginning seemed positive, with them enacting public schooling, government-run health insurance, introducing wage subsidies, and began moving us away from our reliance on European goods and transitioning to a more self-sufficient economy and a better trading relationship with the United States. However, they have begun the enactment of more authoritarian principles, aimed at consolidating their power and ensuring that they do not... Yes? What do you want? Well, wait, hey, put the gun, what is this? This isn't the script, I'm not okay, I'll read it, okay. Chill out, mate. And with the enactment of these previous laws, the government has begun rolling out new bills and decrees to continue to better the lives of the Quebecian people, such as furthering rolling back women's rights, restricting the vote to Franco-Canadians, and be working towards stopping illegal migration, militarizing the police force, and the establishment of a council republic, as the only way for Quebec to survive is with a strong government at the head. But now, in 1855, our time has come to realize Greater Quebec. We feel that we are now ready to wage war against the newly confederated Canada and the new British Republic. This will be the hardest war we will ever fight, is what we thought. However, the United Syndicalists of America have joined the war on our side. It is clear that this new America is our greatest ally. And with our goals lining up to drive the Europeans off the North American continent, we will work together to realize these goals. But for now, we must liberate our people being illegally occupied by the British Empire. Many years later, in 1887, we are victorious. Greater Quebec has been realized, and Canada has now been reduced to a middling state, cut off from the British Empire and floundering, as their capitalist ways have failed them. And with the natural resources of Eastern Canada now under our belt, and a truly professionalized army, we can guarantee our own independence. But why should we stop the warpath now, when we have a new objective? All great nations have empires, so we must secure one of our own, and the best place to do that is in the French Caribbean. By 1891, the war is over. We have secured the French Caribbean, which will be placed under a colonial administration to ensure that the wealth and resources of the Caribbean will be focused on bettering the homeland instead of private businesses and corporations. And with this great victory, we have secured our place in the sun. We were once just a colony of Canada, but now we are one of the greatest powers in North America. Our standard of living is one of the highest in the world, same with our literacy. And with resources from our new colonies flowing into the homeland, we can stop importing critical resources needed to drive our economy even further than before. And with our American allies, we will ensure that the liberation of the working class will not stop at North America, but instead will progress to the world.